Hello and welcome to my top 20 of 2020 list. 2020 was not the best year, but we did get some pretty good movies. So in this video, I'm going to be telling you guys about my favorite movies of the past year. For the first 10 movies, I'll be going in sort of a rapid fire pace, only saying a couple things about each movie. And then once we get to the top 10, I'll go a little bit more in depth. Okay, is everyone ready? Hold on to your butts. A very well made documentary about the coronavirus pandemic. A funny, entertaining short film about terrorism. A chilling horror film, but I'll probably never watch it again. It was very well made, but a couple parts felt a little cliche for me. The worst, yet still a very good installment to Steve McQueen's Small Axe series. Again, not the best, but still a very well made episode in the series. I really don't care if this counts as a movie, but South Park's Pandemic Special was hilarious. An energetic, funny HBO original movie that should not be swept under the rug. One of the year's best comedies is about Andy Samberg in a time loop. A cute, easy watch, which was easily the year's best short film. Wow, that was really fast. Let's get into the top 10. Wow, where to even begin with this movie? This was actually really good. It's about a heavy metal drummer who slowly loses his hearing, and it's really hard to watch. Riz Ahmed gives a very convincing performance as a man who just lost his hearing. I really hope he gets a Best Actor nod because he definitely deserves it. This movie's sound design was expertly done, and it really puts you in the shoes of the main character. I think this movie also had a really good ending. It just left me feeling happy. There's not a lot I can complain about here. Everything that was done very well. I mean, maybe a couple scenes here and there, the acting was a little off, but overall, this movie was really well made. This was picked up by Amazon, so you can watch it free on Prime Video. I think I'm gonna give The Sound of Metal an 8 out of 10. Borat's subsequent movie film is easily my favorite comedy of 2020. Personally, I liked it a lot more than the first. I just thought it was a lot smarter, funnier, and more relevant. The first Borat still holds up, but it's not as relevant to today as it was back then. There's really not a lot to say about this movie. It's just a very solid comedy. I honestly don't think I'll watch this or the first one ever again, but it was still a very enjoyable watch. Yeah, so I would highly recommend this to anyone with a Prime subscription. I'm giving Borat's subsequent movie film an 8 out of 10. Mangrove is, again, not the best film in the Small Axe series, but is nothing less than fantastic. This is the longest movie in the Small Axe series, and at 100% earns that runtime. Mangrove is literally just the better version of Trial of Chicago 7. While both Mangrove and Trial of Chicago 7 are cheesy, Mangrove isn't stupid like Trial of Chicago 7 was. If you can't tell, I really did not like Trial of Chicago 7. On the other hand, Mangrove is fantastic. It's on Prime Video for free, and I'm giving it an 8 out of 10. Let me be clear. Tenet, without a doubt, is a flawed movie, but it is still a flawed movie that I can very much enjoy. This movie, as you've heard, is confusing, and I think a lot of people are just trusting that Christopher Nolan is a lot smarter than they are. And I can guarantee there are plot holes and inconsistencies in this movie that I am just too dumb to notice. But despite it all, I love this movie. The spectacle of the whole thing is just such a treat to the eyes. I think Nolan is made to make blockbusters, and I think he needs to make blockbusters that are a lot more simple. I'm not saying like Skyscraper simple, but like Inception simple, where normal people can figure out what's going on. Despite my criticisms, Tenet is a blast, and I'm giving it an 8 out of 10. Soul is not without its flaws, but it is easily one of the best movies Disney and Pixar have made in the past 10 years. There's really not a lot I can say about this other than what I had already said in my 90-second review, which you should go watch, by the way. This is a kind of animated movie that is made for adults that kids can also enjoy. I really wish I had more things to say about this movie, but I feel like I covered everything in my 90-second review. But in conclusion, I would highly recommend that you check out Soul whenever you can. I'm giving Soul an 8 out of 10. Mank is yet again a fantastic David Fincher film. And while it's not as good as Seven or, I need to see more David Fincher movies. I went a lot more in depth in this movie in my 90-second review, so definitely go check that one out. But my overall thoughts are that this was not a disappointing movie, and it almost exceeded what expectations I had set for it. If you want more in-depth thoughts, go watch my 90-second review. But overall, this is a very well-made and enjoyable film, especially for people who are very familiar with Citizen Kane. This was great. It's on Netflix right now, and I'm giving it an 8 out of 10. There were a lot of pretty good documentaries that came out this year, but nothing came close to Time. This is one of the few movies that came out this year that actually made me cry. And while it's not a perfect movie and can feel like it drags on a little bit in some parts, but overall, this movie is just presented masterfully. It was shot in gorgeous black and white and has a hauntingly beautiful piano score. The movie was edited together very well. The direction was very good. At some points, I forgot I was watching a documentary because this movie felt like a feature film. I think the reason this movie gives off that feel is because how much of a personal story this is. It's a personal story that also somehow encapsulates the bigger themes of the criminal justice system in America. It's just very eye-opening to see how this is affecting people on a personal level. And with such a short runtime, it feels like it tells this big story, but the movie never drags. It's paced perfectly, it's shot beautifully, and has a fantastic score. Time is free on Prime Video for any of you who want to watch it, and I'm giving it a 9 out of 10. Education is a very, very special film. While it's not the best out of the Small Axe series, it's the only one that got me to cry. This film tackles something that isn't talked about as much when talking about racism, which is how it all starts, the public school system. I think this is a very important film that everyone who is interested in race should see. Everyone in this movie delivers a fantastic performance, especially the main child actor. Steve McQueen just did such a good job of getting me emotionally invested in all of the characters in this movie. I really hope that Small Axe goes down as one of the best television shows, because it's certainly one of my favorites. This movie also happens to be extremely disturbing, despite not showing anything horrific or violent. And despite that, it's also hopeful and inspiring. Education is a film I would call a masterpiece, and I'm giving Education a 9 out of 10. This whole video I've been saying, well, it's not the best in the Small Axe series, and now we're finally at the best in the Small Axe series, which is Red, White, and Blue. This movie is absolutely phenomenal. This episode, like many episodes in the Small Axe series, is about England's West Indian community and their relationship to the police. And without a doubt, this is John Boyega's best performance he has ever given. He really makes you sympathize for this character because everybody is against him. And that's what makes the payoff at the end all the better. Words aren't going to describe this movie well enough. You just have to go and see it yourself. If you're going to watch any episode from this series, watch this one. I really, really highly encourage each and every one of you to go watch this movie whenever you can. This was so close to being a 10, but I'm gonna give Red, White, and Blue a 9 out of 10. I'm thinking of ending things. This is without a doubt the best movie in 2020. It's hard to believe that one of the greatest movies of all time came out this year. And yes, you heard me right. This, in my opinion, is one of the greatest movies ever made. I'm not going to try to explain what this movie means. YMS did a video on that, which you should definitely watch. And to be honest, I doubt you would understand this movie after your first, second, third, or even fourth watch. And that's the beauty of it. This movie reminds me of films I love, like 2001, where you don't really know anything that's going on, but you feel like you do. Like a lot of the movies on this list, I've already made a 90-second review of this, so if you want more in-depth thoughts, you can go watch it. But if you don't want to watch it, and you want the short version, I'm just gonna say that this is a masterpiece, and you're missing out if you're not seeing it. This movie just solidifies my opinion, that is, Charlie Kaufman is the best filmmaker working today. I could go on how basically every aspect of this movie is perfect, but you don't want to listen to that. Just go watch it. It's free on Netflix, and I'm thinking of ending things a 10 out of 10. Well, there it is, my top 20 films of 2020. I hope you enjoyed this list as much as I enjoyed making it. Despite what a lot of people think, there were a lot of good movies that came out this year. So if even a single movie on this list seems mildly interesting to you, I would encourage you to watch it. Well, that's all for now. I'll see you in the next video. Bye!